In this video, I'll give you a few tips for shooting in 360 degrees. Number one is that you should be aware of stitch lines. Now that's where the two back-to-back lenses are joined, and indeed if you do something silly like touch the camera, you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to get some ugly stitch lines which can't really be easily taken away. Most of the time, visible stitch lines are in an outdoor setting like this, where the sky has darker and lighter blues where the two lenses meet. It's not necessarily a problem, and you'll only really see this if you go looking for it. Another important thing to remember though is that you shouldn't get too close to the camera, because the image can appear quite distorted if you do. So as well as the stitch lines issue, just make sure you keep your distance. You'll remember that this video does shake around a little. If you look at the clouds in this area, you'll see that they move around a bit. Now, there's really not much you can do about that in post. You can't stabilize in post because you can't blow it up and move the video around. So you do have to get it right in camera. Make sure that you're using a sturdy tripod that has a minimal footprint. Minimal footprint is important because when you combine all this footage into a 360 project, you will see the camera supports at the bottom of the shot. The smaller the supports are, the easier they will be to remove. And when you look at this in equirectangular, it's generally the dirty black mess at the bottom of just about every shot. If you can, it is best to use a remote control to see what you're doing. And you'll see in this shot, which I appear in, I'm monitoring on my phone. I think I'm actually looking away at the time, but I'm certainly controlling the camera remotely. This means I can use the beginning and end of the shot because I'm not physically touching the camera to start recording, and lets me monitor exactly what's going on. Though a big thing to remember about 360-degree video is being there is the most important thing. You're going to capture everything around you, all the people who are around, all the locations. You really can't choose what's going to be in the frame and not. So planning becomes really important. It's a good idea, if you can, to take still images as well as video. Stills will tend to be higher quality in terms of color, and they will often be higher resolution, so you can get better quality output, or at least a better color reference for doing your video color correction. Lastly, I'll just reiterate something I mentioned earlier. Really think about not moving. If you try to handhold a shot, it's going to shake around like this. But if you can isolate the shot and keep it pretty static, then you'll have a much better experience, especially when viewed through a headset. People viewing on a desktop can pretty much view anything you like, but when you view this stuff through a headset, you really do need to have a more static video experience. In the next video, I'll talk about the process you'll need to go through from converting your native footage into stitched equirectangular footage.